morning and welcome to the Alpha Pension Group Retirement Recap for Tuesday, April 7th. The weather was great in Boston yesterday. People finally opened their windows and got outside a little bit. And Rob, the market was up like 7% and the futures looked great. So tell us what went on. That's really nice to see yesterday.
Yeah, so we came off the weekend, and as you said, stocks rocketed, and it was really a positive tone from President Trump, and the futures took their direction from him in terms of over the weekend. It followed through the day as we got more positive news about New York City and their flattening of the curve, and that really helped to push the averages up. It was the best day in the last 9 sessions, so that was awesome. We did get some unfortunate news, and it kind of points to how much disruption this virus is going to do, not only to people, but also to processes. But we saw overseas that the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is now in critical care with COVID-19, and he had to obviously give up his responsibilities as the Prime Minister. So more to come there. The VIX, or that fear index, fell below 45. So we're, kind of watching that to see kind of normalization, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the future, in a future podcast. So look for that. And then finally, oil fell 8%. So it had rallied very strongly, but it fell back 8% yesterday after an OPEC and a Russia meeting was delayed.
Thanks so much. And I think part of why the futures are pointing in the right direction today was there's talk, believe it or not, about yet maybe another stimulus program. The $2 trillion program they passed might not be enough, which I agree with. And that's a great transition to Jennifer Sahadi, who's going to talk to us about the CARES Act that passed. And Mark and I are going to do a little back and forth, a little pros and cons about the 3 areas: RMDs, distributions, and loans, so to give you the positive and the negative on both of those. So, Jen, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Rich. We had a fantastic presentation yesterday on the CARES Act. We had a lot of questions about the facts of it, but I was curious to hear your personal point of view, both yours and Mark's. What do you think are the pros and cons of the fact that loans have now doubled in size? Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that's a bad thing? What do you think, Mark?
So with this new program, I think it's going to give participants a lot of flexibility when they need it the most. So right now, unemployment is predicted to be higher than probably ever. Hopefully we don't get to that point. But loans and distributions will give participants the flexibility they need to get some money out of the plan, and they can defer taxes for up to 3 years on distributions, which I think is pretty key. For 401k loans and loans that are already outstanding, be able to push that out 12 months will hopefully give people the break they need while their hours were reduced. Credit card interest rates right now are super high. So if participants don't have access to loans, where, by the way, they're paying interest back to themselves, they would be otherwise faced with taking higher interest loans from credit cards or somewhere else. So as much as we don't like seeing that statistic go up, I think it's a pretty positive thing participants have available.
Well, I guess I'll be the bad guy. Taking a $100,000 loan is prohibitively expensive. So I don't think people understand what that repayment will be. I think it's great that you can defer the interest and payment on your current loan, but to take a new loan of $100,000, I would just be careful there, because that does have to be paid off. It's going to be paid off on a 5-year amortization schedule. That might not start for a year, but still you're going to be on a 5-year schedule. So those payments can be high.
Worst case scenario though, Rich, if they take the loan, they can't pay it back. It's just a taxable distribution, just like the distribution for coronavirus. So they would be able to eventually pay those taxes if they needed to.
I agree. So let's talk about distributions, the distribution option, which people are confusing as a hardship. Is that right?
There has been some confusion from plan sponsors on this, yes. So it's not a hardship. This would be just a coronavirus-related distribution. Anyone affected with either having their hours reduced or being furloughed or having no access to childcare or losing their job would have access to this distribution. The distribution, as we've spoken about a lot, has the ability to be deferred for taxes for 3 years. And if repaid within 3 years, can be non-taxable completely if you pay it all back within that time.
But again, being the bad guy, that's creating another problem, isn't it, for some time down the road. So if people need the money, that's great. I'll leave you with this word of caution, again, just like the loans. You have access to $100,000, but that doesn't mean you need to take $100,000. You can take $20,000 and then go back to take another $20,000 or $80,000 if you need it. So just a word of caution there. I will concede this, however. The last aspect of the relief package here with the CARES Act is RMDs. And I'm struggling to find something that I don't like about that.
I agree with you. And I do agree a lot with the other points you've made, even though I will claim victory on this. But I will tell you on the waiver of RMDs, we both are on the same page with this. There is, I don't think, any benefit for anyone right now, if they don't need to take the money out, to take the money out and to pay taxes and to take it out in an environment when it's probably worth less than it was at the beginning of the year. So for folks to be able to continue to not have to take the required minimum distribution this year, which is what the CARES Act is saying, that for those that have a 2020 RMD that's due, you don't have to take one this year. It's actually delayed until 2021. So you're skipping a year for your RMD. And I think this might be a good year to skip it if you don't need to take the money out.
I think it'd be really great that people have something like unemployment, like access to their resources to help carry them over for now. But let's say I'm 50 years old, I'm unemployed, I take a loan, let's say it's a sizable one because there's a few months that I might not have income. Where does that put me in 10 years?
Probably not in the greatest situation. If there's a way, I think people can look at their budget and their living expenses first prior to going into their 401k. I think that's the best step they can make. I think that's what everybody is reevaluating right now, right? I mean, I was just thinking the other day, how much am I saving on coffee from not going out in the morning because I can't go out in the morning now, making my own coffee. So I think everyone's making those adjustments, and I think you have to. Otherwise, you're right. People making those types of loans at that age, I think might be in a tough spot.
I think you're right. So the point is, even because you have access now to your money doesn't mean necessarily you need to take it, right? See if you can budget appropriately or figure out other ways to cut things down. But it's there if you need it. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining this session on Tuesday, April 7th. Enjoy your day, and we will see you tomorrow.